Jed Jags Rugby are celebrating their 50th anniversary, and at a recent tournament at Riverside Park and the Glebe in Jedburgh, over 1,000 children from all over the region attended. It was a proud moment for the 5 founding members, whose idea it was back in 1973 to start a club which offered children an introduction to playing rugby, have a good time, learn important life skills, and being part of a team. One of those founders was none other than Lawrence Armstrong, the father of Gary Armstrong, who went on to play scrum half and captain Jedforest, the South, Scotland, and the British and Irish Lions. He was one of many rugby stars who started their life with the Jed Jags.
I'm very proud, and I'm very shocked as well, because I haven't been at Riverside at the mini rugby for quite a wee while now, due to other commitments in family and otherwise. And when I walked through the door at the gate this morning, goodness me, as you can see for yourself, not just hundreds of kids, there seem to be thousands of them everywhere, so brilliant.
Well, 1,000 players apparently today.
Well, I'm just heard, yeah, it's touching 1,100 or something. That's the last estimates of heavens above. So,
take us back to the early days then, when you decided that this would be a good idea.
Oh, this is a wee back, I think it was 73 anyway, and you know, we were Charlie, the late Charlie Bird, Roddy McCraw, Charlie Murdy and myself. Well, Charlie was the coach of Jedforest at the time, and Charlie and myself and Roddy were all playing. And as usual on a Saturday night, you know, you're sore after the game you've had and so on, and you get a few beers on board, and everybody's got lovely ideas when they've got beers in them. And it was Charlie was running. It was the schools were having problems at the time. And I think the school connection with rugby, not mini rugby, rugby was rather feeble, to say the least. And Charlie Murdy decided, right boys, what can we do about this? And one thing led to another. And then Roddy McCraw, myself, and the late Charlie Bird came on board just purely and simply to help Charlie Murdy, who was the club coach at the time, to expand his acknowledge to the kids, if you like. And that was in 73, I think, and ever since then we've just kept going and going and going, and as you can see for the day, it's went from one thing to another, and my God, if it gets any bigger than this, I don't know what the organisers are going to do. There's more crowd there, I think, than there is at Jed 7.
Well, you're obviously very proud of what's happened, but also the fact that so many great players have come through the Jed Jags.
Not just Jed, you got your Garys, your Gregor McKechnie's, your Laws, and Kevin, my other son, they all come through mini rugby as well. And also, if you go further afield to Hoyk, for example, Stuart Hogg, to name but one, they used to come down here on the Sundays.
And of course, girls take part now. I mean, there's a lot of young girls out there playing rugby as well, and the women's rugby game is really growing.
That's right. I think if we're looking back to our day, I think you could number girls in maybe 2 or something, but even that was a revelation at the time. You can girls playing rugby with the boys and so on and so on. Obviously, other measures had to be taken off the field, and we were forward thinking to the degree we thought, well, why not? They wanted to play, and the papers got hold of it as well, and it was rather, some thought it was great, and others thought, oh, wait a minute. But we just soldiered on, and if you like, challenged the establishment, and we got away with it, and look at it now.
And it's so important, isn't it, to provide kids with this kind of facility?
Well, especially so, and I mean, I've had comments over there the day when some of my ex-colleagues that played along with me saying, God forbid, I've never seen it. When you cross the bridge, you're expecting all the kids to be at home playing on their computers and all that stuff. And this is what you get on the newsreels and the papers everywhere you go now. Modern technology, oh, they never used to have that when I was a child, but look at this here, man. I mean, that beggars belief, doesn't it, the amount of people. Mind, the weather has been very, very kind today as well, which I suppose has helped, but once they're in, and that's it. It can rain if I like.
And the big challenge, I suppose, is keeping them in the sport.
Yeah, that's right. You can only streamline kids at a certain, you can only advise them to a certain point. Now, whether that be through age groups 8, 9, 10 to 12, there has to be a bit in the middle there where the children, as there was in our day as well, are left to their own devices to make up their own mind.
The logistics of putting something like this together can't be underestimated. The convener for this mammoth festival was Claire Turnbull.
We've got over about 1,000 players here today, 15 teams, from across the borders and beyond, Dumfries, Perthshire, Tynedale attending, so large numbers. But obviously with our 50th anniversary year, we wanted to do something a bit special, so we thought we would go large, and here we are today. We've got almost 100 registered players at the moment across primary 1 to 7, and yeah, it's a really good squad and a super group of coaches that we have as well, which makes it all the better.
And I'm sure a lot of them are going to go on to bigger things, and I think that is always the challenge, isn't it? We're seeing them all very interested, very keen at this age, but as they get older, other interests come in. It's a case of trying to keep them into rugby.
Absolutely, yes. We've got a number of former players who have gone on, both male and female, to international status, which obviously bodes well for the club. One example is Gary Armstrong. His father Lawrence was one of our founding members as well, so it shows that, you know, you put the work in at the ground roots and then the grassroots, and they get a chance to develop. So yeah.
And what about the future then? Is it looking pretty rosy?
Yes, it is at the moment. We've got, as I say, a strong number of players, a good team of coaches. Obviously the Jags doesn't happen if you've not got the coaches, so we've got a good strong set of coaches, and yeah, the future is looking rosy at the moment, so hopefully just keep building where we are. So
With children, as you see today, at that early age, they have to be taught the rudiments properly, because if they get it wrong at this age, what chance have they got when they get into the real hurdy-gurdy of a senior team or a junior team even? And it's important, as you can see today, the children are all running about with the ball in both hands. That's even sometimes that's rare to see on a Saturday, never mind anything else. And the tackling now as well, it's blatantly obvious that they're all going in sort of below waist height, and it's great to see. So therefore, you would think to yourself, if they're getting taught properly at this age, it stands them in good stead for when they get older into the real rough and tumble of the senior stuff.
I must ask you about your son Gary Armstrong, of course, one of the 3 nines, the famous 3 nines of the club that went on to captain Scotland in the British and Irish Lions, Roy Laidlaw, of course, and Greg Laidlaw. There's something about the number 9 jersey, isn't there, here at Jed, and do you find that a lot of them want to be scrum halves?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that Gary and Roy before him, Roy's, if you like, with Gary's mentor prior to Gary hitting the big time, there's always been, and then Greg, of course, come along after that. So there's always been a sort of, as Bill McLaren would say, a number 9 factory in Jedburgh, certainly for the number 9s.
And it's great to see people like Gary and Greg Laidlaw coming down as well, unannounced, just to you know, give the kids the benefit of the experience.
That's right, and then the thing is as well, and there's nails and graces with Greg and Roy and Gary. They're just Jock Thompson's bairns, as they say in the Borders. You could walk in the gate today and stand and have a drink with somebody, and it's almost like, oh, I have not seen you for a while, how are you doing, sort of thing. None of this, what would you call it, hero worshipper. He's one of the boys. He lives in Jed. He was born, not born in Jed, but brought up around about Jed, and he's one of us, so to speak, as is Greg and as is Roy.
Well, how do you see the future? This is the 50th anniversary now of the Jed Jags. What about the future?
Oh, God, well, if you'd asked me this in 1973, I wouldn't have said we'll probably be standing here today, 50 years later, but it's unbelievable. And the way things are today, if numbers are strength, this is going to last a long time. You've just seen them over the water there, unbelievable. And it's absolutely brilliant, absolutely chuffed to bits for them, I really am.
And it's clear that rugby's in a good place.
Yeah, definitely so. And if the proof of the pudding's in eating, well, it stands us in good stead for the future.
To see so many youngsters out on the park on a Sunday morning having great time is a joy, and it's clear that despite all the competition from computers and other activities, the game of rugby is still attracting a lot of kids. Some who will no doubt go on to play for their clubs, and who knows where that could lead to.